She smiles at you, she'll say, angels don't lie, angels don't lie, angels don't lie, no, no, angels don't lie, angels don't lie, no, 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 no.
Hello, Meg. I'm so happy that you're here. Can you lean in and just tell me a little bit about your great work? I've been following you a long time on Instagram, and I'm just so thankful and grateful that you're here. And I'd like everybody to know all that yumminess about you.
Oh, thank you. Well, I'm really excited to be here. And something that I have noticed in the years that I've been doing my work, that there's a certain type of person who is drawn to me. And that is typically a very multi-passionate person who feels boxed in by maybe just sharing just one tool or one modality. And I am that way too. And so with my work, what I've come to realize is that it's me. I'm the conduit. I'm the brand, even though I don't really love that word, but it's me. And then I have all of these tools that come into, my realm of interest. All these tools that, they speak to my heart, they spark my interest. And then I really immerse myself in getting to know these tools and mediums, be it Kundalini yoga, creative writing, breath work, intuitive readings, just really, really honing those skills, really immersing myself in them, learning how they work for me and support me. And then I want to share. I want to share these modalities, and I want to really equip people with tools to support themselves in their own journeys of coming back home to themselves. And I always find it really interesting because, we kind of magnetize people who vibe with us. And so it's really, really fun to work with and to support soulful entrepreneurs or people who are on this precipice of really expanding their life and really making their life their own,
Right.
But who feel confined by the societal expectation that you pick one thing and you do it well and you stick on that path for the rest of your life and you never take any breaks.
So boring. Like
Yeah.
I'm with you. Like you can be multi-passionate and use all of your gifts and then channel them through those various modalities, right? Tell me a little bit about you as a little girl, because I feel like I want to know little Meg too.
Yeah. Okay. Me as a little girl, very curious. I mean, I remember being in the woods. So my house that I grew up in was right at the edge of woods, a big wooded forest. And I would go out there and like roller skates and like my little brother's like plastic knight like armor and like play in the trees and the hollows of the trees, like making potions in the hollows of the trees. But I was also really, really deep and really like kind of like existential crisis, like all the time. I remember standing in the yard with my mom, and I had to have been only like 7 or so. And we were watching our dog play. And I looked up at my mom and was like, when I come back, I want to be a dog. And she was like, why? And I was like, because dogs don't have anything to worry about. And she looked at me and she was like, what do you have to worry about? And I was like, everything.
Right. You're 7. What are you worried about? Right.
Right. But I was like everything, and so kind of feeling the weight of the world all the time.
Yeah.
And, really being feeling feelings and emotions very, very powerfully.
Yes. Did you have the knowing too, like when you were a little kid, like did you also like know what was happening with people
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, just kind of, yeah, being able to walk into a room and really understanding. Um, and also very theatrical. I was always like putting on shows. I mean, would make up dances that
Yep.
lasted, 30 minutes and would make my parents sit down and watch, but like the whole like costume, everything. There was a play that led into the dance, so very
My God,
creative.
are we best friends right now? Literally, this is
Yes.
what we did when I was a
Yes.
kid. We
Yeah.
hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah. We used to do this thing at home called Couch Olympics, and we would like pull the couch into the middle of the living room and act like the couch was like the vault. I don't know the words. I was never in
Hilarious.
gymnastics, and like would do all these tricks and then like rate each other. And,
Yeah.
so
We
just
played,
very playful.
we would do this too. It's so much fun. And my sister would be the one who would record us. She would
I
video like this
love it.
whole scene. Like, and I would
Uh-huh.
be like, okay, we're gonna wear these outfits and make my brother dress in a dress. I like had it all.
Yes. Yeah, like producing the whole thing. And
Yeah.
then one more story that I think is very telling. So, for Christmas one year, um, again, I was probably around 8, my little brother was probably 7, and I feel like this just kind of was like foreshadowing into the rest of our lives. So, for Christmas, we were both gifted items that we were just like, "Oh my God, this is the best thing ever." So my brother received an electric coin sorter and like immediately went to his
Oh my
rooms and
God.
was
I
sorting
remember
coins.
those. Yes.
And he is like a money magnet these days. I mean, he has the Midas touch, like he's BFF with money. I received a mushroom garden that I could grow in my closet. And I was like, yay!
Oh my God, I
Like
love this.
went into my closet and spent time with the mushrooms and was like, I can talk to them,
Oh,
So
yeah,
I
yeah, yeah,
feel
yeah.
like it was like, okay, here's what's to come. So yeah.
My favorite thing around that age was we grew up the same thing. Like we had this big open yard and woods behind us, and there was this patch of moss. It was literally so magical. I would just go and lay on the moss because it was like huge bed,
Mhm.
and like a little bit of water, but it was like I could be with the angels and the fairies, and it was
Yeah,
just, yeah, it was
it was
great.
magical. Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Connecticut.
Okay, I grew
I
up in
live,
Southwest Louisiana. So
okay,
yeah, hot and humid, lots of bugs.
there you go, right? Yep.
Yeah.
And you're in Texas now?
Yeah, I live in Austin, Texas.
So you are a mom too.
Mhm.
You are a spiritual entrepreneur. You have like, you wear many hats. So tell me like mom life for you.
Yeah, so I have 3 kids. They're all like 5-year intervals. So right now they're 13, 8, and then 2.5.
Wow. Okay.
And that was not planned. I do not plan that well. But it was like every, one child would turn about 4 years old, and then I was like, oh, like, am I really done? Let's just try and see. And then, we would conceive after, of course, giving all the baby stuff away,
Of course.
and yeah. And so having 3 kids at 3 different ages that are, pretty vast, it really, I always say it's like having to speak 3 different languages, and then plus the
Mhm.
language of my husband and the language of my own heart. I'm a polyglot when it comes to energetics. But balancing motherhood and entrepreneurship, I'm not going to pretend that it is easy. Some days, when I have a packed schedule and one of my kids will wake up sick, the other one, I get a call from the nurse at school and I've got to go pick her up. And I just have to tell myself, like, it is what it is. It is what it is. And everything's going to be okay. The world's not going to fall apart. People aren't going to hate me because I had to prioritize my children and, reschedule an
Mhm.
appointment, which has been a journey in releasing myself from people pleasing and being a good girl, as far as like adhering to societal expectations of what it means to
Right.
be responsible. But my children do teach me, not to sound like cliche, but they really do. And not just in the questions they ask or the way that they challenge me, but if I just sit back and I observe them. Like, for example, I recently took my 8-year-old daughter Ruby to Mexico for a mother-daughter trip. And it was really, really wonderful to have one-on-one unstructured time. And during that time, I mean, we got along swimmingly. It was beautiful. We had so much fun. We cuddled. We spent time just like telling each other what we loved about each other. I mean, it was like,
Oh my gosh, so
Gilmore
magical.
Girls. So
Yeah.
magical. However, I was really able to learn a lot about myself and my beliefs and my behaviors through simply observing her and just noticing her patterns and her behaviors and what she hooks into. So just kind of watching her, I noticed and learned a lot about my relationship with money and with gratitude, and kind of how certain behaviors that I am either really proud of right now, and also the ones that I'm like, okay, let's do some work on this. I saw them in her, but it made me see even more so, so my children are my teachers, not just in the challenging moments and helping me breathe and recenter and reframe, but like, oh, wow, like they got that from me. And I'm gonna work on this. So, and as a soulful entrepreneur, as someone who supports others and really connecting to the deepest parts of themselves and their own creative genius, that's really, really inspiring. And it gives me kind of an outlet into how I can support others and how the types of questions I can, ask people, and journaling prompts, and so much. So motherhood and entrepreneurship is
I knew I loved you, like, just, and even what you're saying is so much more, because one of the things I think a lot of women coming into business, into the spiritual realm, and feeling like they have to have it all together and be perfect, and like they can't be vulnerable to say, like, I'm still learning, I'm still healing. And that's something that I just see, like, this perfectionism, we can't be that, like, we're not one and done.
It doesn't help anybody.
It doesn't
help anybody. Right. Yeah. It just, I mean, honestly, it just creates a pressure cooker. And for me, I know, like, if I go to a yoga class, or let's just go with yoga class, and the teacher is, sitting at the front and is this all-knowing, perfect, never messes up, here's my, 50-step morning ritual, and I know everything. And if you come and ask me a question, I'm going to have the answer. That's very disempowering, because it makes the student feel as though I'm never going to get there. And the thing is, no, you're not, because that teacher's not even there. It's an act, it's not real. But when we're open and honest, and fortunately, I haven't encountered really many teachers like that anymore, since kind of the collective conversation has been around, like, let's be authentic and let's be real. But yeah, I mean, you see it often in the spiritual world, and even on people's, Instagram platforms, of where I have it all together, I know everything, and come to me on anything, and I'll guide you. And I just find it really disempowering,
we forget we're on a journey. We all
are.
Such a beautiful, messy, and sometimes ugly journey, and we can fall apart and come back and see, like you said, in our little children. For me, I have adult children now and grandchildren, and they teach me, they remind me of, like, the magic, like
being present.
Oh my gosh, I did this meditation with my granddaughter. She turned 11, to her little group of friends, and I guided them into the veil. And I just had them have their own holy experience, nothing prompted, just allow them to be in the veil, to see, feel, hear whatever they were going to hear. And then when we came back, I asked, did anybody have an experience? And they were all a little shy. And I said, well, who saw an angel? Hands all went up. Wow. And they literally all started sharing, like, the colors, and I saw rainbows, and I saw one little girl saw her departed brother. They were twins, and he passed away, like, I think just hours after they were born. So but it was magical. Like, they didn't need any prompting.
No,
just an invitation to use that glorious imagination that we have and to be them.
Yeah. And then for you to have to create that safe space,
right.
and for them to be able to, kind of tiptoe into it and then,
Yeah.
oh, I'm safe. And oh my gosh. And she
Right.
and he, and to be in community of transparency. And that's so exciting. And it's medicine and it's
It's
so
so
needed.
Yes. Oh, and I just felt like I learned so much just being there and just feeling like I got to witness this and I got to see like how easy it can be.
Yeah.
And bring that into my work to remind people that come in to, work and play and hang out with me, like, you just have to let go a little bit. Like, we don't have to hold on so tight, and reminding me too, like, I don't have to be so structured, because we get structured, like, got to do A, B, and C, got to get these points, and yeah, like,
Yeah.
so what's
This reminds
lighting
me
up?
of
Go ahead.
This reminds me of a story in Mexico when I took my daughter. So we were in Isla Mujeres, which is the island of women, which I thought would be perfect place for a mother-daughter trip. Ruby and I, we were walking on the beach, and you come to this point on one of the beaches where there's this, dock that kind of juts out into the water. And I knew that beyond the dock was like even more water and bigger spaces. And as we were walking, we were, getting close to where the dock area was. And there was a little ice cream stand. And Ruby was like, "Can we stop here? Can we get an ice cream and just sit in the water?" And I was like, "No, let's keep going. Like, there's more ahead. There's more. It's bigger, better, more." And I was really proud of myself because I was like, "Oh, I'm the guide. I know better. Like, I know that beyond where she can't see is more." So we get to the more, we get to the bigger space, and we're sitting there, and I was like, "This is nothing, this is beautiful and special, but like,
Right.
why did I push her to keep going, to more, to keep going to bigger and better?"
So big. This is huge.
So yeah, so I asked her, I was like, "Hey, do you want to go back to where you said and like go get an ice cream and hang out right there?" And she's like, "Yeah." And so we went, and then we were sitting in the place that she wanted to sit in. And the phrase, "the luster of more robs us of the promise of now," kept running through my head. And I was like, "Oh, wow. Like it really is true. This kind of shiny luster. There's more, there's more, there's more."
Right.
But what about right now? Now is fine. Like the shallow waters and the ice cream stand, like that's heaven on earth. Why do we have to be so obsessed with getting beyond? And there's a fine line, between stagnancy and also and presence.
Yeah. I've been using this phrase heaven now, which is like
I
just
love
to be like, we can experience, we don't have to wait until someday when our soul's purified to be that holy self, like, just all lit up. And it's really exciting. And I feel like what you're saying is exactly that, but those shiny objects, they're there, especially for, women who we have all of this, like, need to prove or like show up and do all the big things that other people are doing. But like, what if we let go of some things? I've been letting go of things, and that's been really empowering. It's been like, oh my gosh, that's fun.
Yeah.
Be more
just putting down the spinning plate. Just put it down. Put it down. Yeah. When I first got into business, I really got kind of hypnotized by that, build your 6-figure business,
right?
Like, build the empire, blah, 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 and I was like, oh my gosh, like that's my barometer of success. Do I have the 6-figure business or do I not? And I was just like hamster wheeling it and exhausted and like investing just crazy amounts of money and then just like working to pay off the investment, and it was just this like vicious cycle. And one day I was like, why am I so hooked into this? Like, is this even my true desire? And if it is, that's wonderful. There's nothing wrong with that. But like, is it truly mine? Is that why I'm in business? No, that's not.
You tapped into such a huge thing, like as an empath, as a sensitive soul, as someone who can channel energy and feel energy. as a little girl, here we are as like adults doing the same thing, watching like the TV with social media or whatever, seeing, oh, well, that's how it's done. And we learn by energy. And then it just doesn't even feel authentic. It doesn't feel like we're wearing someone else's clothes. Like, wait, I want to wear sweatpants on this, interview.
I don't want to do this. Yeah.
My husband's like, you're going to put on that fancy vest and sweatpants. I'm like, yes, I am. Because
I am.
Feels really good.
Because it feels good. Yeah. And, I felt myself kind of being sucked down that path of like evergreen, funnel, blah, 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 blah. And
all the big words, all the fun words.
Yeah. And like kind of being swept up in it. And then, and again, there's nothing wrong with any of that. It was just so out of alignment for me because I don't even like being in like someone's email funnel. I immediately unsubscribe, and
can you touch on this? Can you talk about what it was like for you to realize what actually is yours, what works for you?
Yeah. So, to go back to the example of like, the business and the six figure business, and this is how I have to get there, the funnels, the evergreens, the digital launches, the launches in general. All the launches. And again, nothing wrong with it, just very out of alignment for me. And so I was getting physically sick, and just like chronic fatigue, migraines, and I was having no fun. All the joy was sucked out, and it was just all money, like invest in this, do this, da, 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 and I was like, eventually was like, I just want to do my craft. Like, I just want to be with people, and I don't want to do this launch of a digital course. I don't want to. And I eventually because in the spiritual world, we hear a lot like, oh, it's resistance. Why do you have resistance to this? And it's like, maybe it's not resistance. Maybe it's actually my truth. Like it's not resistance against a giant launch. It's my truth that I don't want to do this. And so, meditation, and really sitting with my body and listening to my body and really getting into my body helped me to finally just put the spinning plates down. I don't have to do that. And in fact, once I put all the plates down, it was like, what do I actually want to do? That's when things really started flowing for me, it's when my social media platform like really opened up, when I was just like, what, like, it doesn't have to be perfectly curated. It doesn't have to be like all professional photography. It can just be me, and that's enough, and just, it's really for me, these moments of where I admit to myself, I don't want to do this anymore. And I give myself permission to just put it down, put it down. And it's energetic. And there's this poem called She Let Go, by, I think it's Reverend Sapphire Rose. And it's fantastic. And if you are somebody who struggles with, being swept up and then running on the hamster wheel, and then, and then you're exhausted, like, make this poem your Bible, like read it every day. It's incredibly supportive. So
I'm going to look it up and put it in our show notes for sure.
Yeah. Amazing.
I feel like you say so many of the same words, like the spinny plates, like I had it all. Like I was on that like mission to succeed at all cost, really. And the cost was, me. It was like my energy. It was like I couldn't show up to my family. I was busy all the time. Like my grandkids are here, and Mom, can you come play? And I'm like, yeah, in a minute. I'm just, doing A, B, and C, or I missed out.
In a minute. I'm almost done. I'm almost done.
When we were messaging about this, you're like, I promised my daughter Ruby, I'd be fully present in Mexico. And I was like, yes, like I totally got that. Like, because we can so easily get swept away by like, well, it has to get done, but it really doesn't have to. There's no boss. You're the boss.
Yeah, you're the boss.
you get to choose. And if it doesn't feel fun, and if it feels like work, then it's really missing the energy that you intentionally set out to do all of this great work with. It's missing God, it's missing light. So those
and
spinning
people are going to
plates,
feel that.
they're going to feel your lack.
It's not going to translate.
No, right. Yeah, I love that. So tell me, like, what's lighting you up right now in your work? Because I know you have some really amazing offerings and the way you work with people, but what part of it might be like sparking you?
A couple of things. Right now, I'm just loving helping women to find their voice through the written word. So I'm trained in the gateless writing methodology. And this is just a really, really beautiful tool for anybody. You don't have to be, quote unquote, a professional writer. You can have zero experience with writing, but this container that's created that I do, one-on-one in small groups and on retreats. It's really safe, and it is all about using the blank page as an oracle, the written word as a master healer, and finding your voice through the page, and really saying, I do have something to say. I do have something to say that I'm the only one who can say it in this way. I have a perspective, and it's unique, and it's beautiful. And in some cases it's poetic, in some cases it's sensual and sexy, in some places it's bold and provocative and daring, and to literally find your voice. It's such a tremendous honor and pleasure for me to be able to hold those spaces for people. And every time I write with people, I find more of myself, and it's just so fun. So I'm having a lot that's really, really lighting me up. And then, of course, always retreats, facilitating retreats is just my jam. I absolutely love it because, how often do we get the opportunity to just really spend a couple of days a week on ourselves and just being in a state of grace, immersing ourselves into all sorts of different tools, and then having time to reflect, having time to bond, having time to witness and support each other. And it's so fun. And honestly, for me, retreats went to a whole new level once I gave myself permission to not show up as perfect and all-knowing, to really just say, hey, I'm here not because I think I know best, but because I realize I have a skill in creating and fostering these really nurturing environments. But I'm here doing the work with you too. We're all safe, we're all held. I have these tools, but I'm here with you too. We're sitting in a circle. I'm not in a podium at the front. We're in a circle. And I love that. And then the training that I do, the Miracle Way retreat and training, which is where I am delivering a methodology, a concept, an approach on spiritual, personal, professional transformation so that others can take this methodology and use it, weaving their unique tools into this framework. And there I teach people how to lead their own retreats, how to market their retreats, how to create circles and workshops. And I very much believe in generosity and reciprocity and sharing rather than hoarding the tools all for myself. And so to me, it feels just so exciting and humbling and just all the things, fulfilling to be able to share this and then to see people going out and using it and growing and expanding. There's room for all of us, and it just feels really good. So yeah.
I adore that. I think you're, hit the nail on so many heads here, which is like, there's room for plenty, like, in terms of like when we come together in a retreat, we are going to receive, and we're going to learn, and we're going to give. And if we're really open, we can let our guard down to invite in people that might, like, I used to think I had to do it all. Like, I'm running this retreat, so I've got to do it all. And then I was like, let me bring someone in. And I started bringing in other facilitators, and I started letting, like, yeah, I can do it, but there's no need. There's no
need. And it's so fun to like highlight other people's work and give other people the stage. It's so fun. And during a retreat, like eventually people are like, oh my God, more of Megan. Like, no, can someone else come and like say something,
And it's so much fun for that other person to see them, and then like you receive with your group that that came. They're like, and they're all inspiring. So yeah, it's I love supporting other women like that have really soulful work, that are really like ready to share it, or they've been sharing it, just because it's easy, and why not?
It's fun.
It's fun.
Why not? Why not?
Why not? So one of the things I saw you do on Instagram, it was a Kundalini, you were doing these like little meditations, like if you're feeling this way. And I was like, that was so helpful for me, this little nugget and it always like spot on, like, you pop up randomly, how Instagram and I'm like, yep, there she is today. And it's so helpful because it just reminds me that I don't have to remember to do my practice. Like it's coming to me. It's like when I get busy and I'm forgetting, God has a way of like being like, hey, check it out. Here it is for you. And I'm like, yes. Okay.
I love, meditation doesn't have to be like, 4:30 in the morning, 90 minutes. It can be, and that's beautiful. But it can also be when you're washing the dishes. It can be when you're in the shower. And you can have this little toolbox where, okay, I know if I breathe, a cannon breath out of rounded lips, inhaling and exhale, that's going to stimulate my vagus nerve, which helps to shut down that fight or flight response. And I can just do that for a minute or two, and it'll really help to soothe me, or I can shape my hands into a particular mudra. If I bring my pinky and my thumb together, this elicits a particular response that helps me to be a better communicator, and so it's just these little tools that really can create a shift. So
there's small doses that have a huge impact.
Which, as a mom of 3, like the small doses with a huge impact, that's what I'm going for right now.
I hear you. So I think you've written a book too. I think I saw that on your website, right? I keep hearing the spirits keeps telling me, the angels are just like, she's writing another book. So
I'm writing my second book right now, which is just really exploring the complexities of life through what feels like a lucid dream. It kind of feels like Alice in Wonderland, where there's poetry and prose that really invite the reader to play and explore with really tough subjects like grief and depression and feeling shaky in motherhood, but in this really whimsical, lyrical way. And I feel like one of my gifts in writing is to just really get into the heartstrings right away.
Yeah. Well, you have that knowing, like I can see it and feel it, and you're like, and you can get to the pinpoint, like what are those pains, and then easily help people navigate. And it's a true gift. It's a true calling from God to like help people navigate sticky situations, and then to be able to tell that story again.
Just to help us all feel not alone, to help me feel not alone. So my first book is called The Body Positivity Journal. And I wrote that when I was in the throes of postpartum body image hell. Just had a really hard time after having my third with my body, and it's interesting because my mindset was the most grounded and wholesome and pure out of all 3 pregnancies during that pregnancy. And then after, I was just, slammed to the bottom of the ocean with body image. And I learned a lot, and I started sharing a lot, and just sharing where I was, not acting like the expert on body image. I was not pretending to show up as a psychologist who, specializes in body image. I was just showing up as a woman who was going through it, who wasn't scared to share. And I got a book deal. A publisher reached out and was like, "Hey, we really love what you're doing, and we'd love for you to write a book for us on body image." And they kind of directed it that they wanted it to be in the shape of a journal, to take the form of a journal with really, really thought-provoking, very deep prompts and then practices. And so that was really incredible. And I got the book deal right after my dad passed. And I had always told my dad, I'm gonna write books. That's what I'm gonna do. And so I couldn't help but feel that like he was upstairs, like orchestrating some stuff. And then, like to get that was pretty special for that to happen.
No, yeah, that's a miracle. Like, I love that.
Yeah. Like I was paid to write my first book.
And I love
it's a big deal.
Because how you're just making this full circle is you put all those plates down, right? Like you stop being the spinny girl who is like going for the 6 figures, and you dove in, you had another baby, and which is a big commitment for an entrepreneur, a woman in a family nowadays. I have 4 children, so I know like when you make a commitment to have a baby by choice, it's like, it's like, okay, I know what's going to happen now because I've already done this, and I'm preparing. And then, losing your dad, going through the grief of losing your body the way it was, and then losing your dad, and then having
I lost my dog too, like
a
few months after and my dog was like my soulmate dog. And that was, I was shattered, and then my dad, and then was diagnosed with Lyme disease and was like, "Are you serious? Like, can we stop?"
Oh my gosh. That's so, like, I call that my big 3s and my little 3s in my first book. It was like, I would be like, "Are you kidding me? Like, what's happening? Like, why?" And I'm in the big 3, little 3 thrown, like it happens every few years. And I'm like, can we slow this the heck down? But then I feel like I'm in this place now where instead of it being drama, like where I would have lost myself, I'm leaning further in to say like, ooh, I can calm that central nervous system now. Like it wants to go haywire, but I'm going to do this breathing. I'm going to get in my sauna. I'm so grateful and thankful that I have these tools now. I've learned this. And when I'm going to get messy, I know who I'm going to call. I'm going to be like, and your peeps are going to support you and hold you and maybe provoke a great conversation. So you're curious as to like, is it really the thing you're upset with, or is it, this past trauma that's ready to come?
Yeah. And I also think it's so important for us to have spaces that we can simply vent into without the person on the other end trying to like bend the conversation toward the silver lining or the
no fixing.
Like, what's the lesson? It's like, I just need to vent. I need to get this off. I don't need you to like commiserate with me, and let's not create a misery loves company thing, but like just give me a space. Just give me a space.
Yeah, I don't need you on my side. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I have found that I have a few friends that I can say like, "Hey, I have this thing. Can I vent into this space right now?" It's like, "Do you have space for that?" And we have this agreement that like, we're just here to listen and like create a little safe circle, and that's it.
This is why your journal prompts are so amazing, because you can do that and know that doesn't have to have a shiny answer. It doesn't have to be like all good and beautiful, because we aren't all light.
That's okay. We're not supposed to be.
Exactly. It's why we're in the physical realm, right? If we were going to be all light, we would stay in the heavenly realm. And
you wouldn't have reincarnated. You wouldn't be here. Yeah. So if you're here, you've got work to do.
Yeah. That's the duality, and it's beautiful. I mean, you can love those pieces. Oh, that's so good. And I feel like it's going to be such a grand book. And I feel like your dad is very busy. Like, like he just shows me like being very busy. I'm sorry. I hope you don't mind. He's
oh my God, please. Yeah.
He's just like, he's got like tools, but he's got like a little workshop, but he's also like busy like with the family and really supporting. Like he's a true sense of like honoring his role as a father figure.
I
Yeah.
love it.
But he's
Yeah.
also like, he's telling me like, let you know that he's able to communicate. He's able to use his voice now.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yay. I hope he's singing again up there.
That might be what it means. I just feel like
Yeah.
he's using that voice.
Yeah. Oh, beautiful.
And he's like all smiles, you know, like you, like all like grinning, like ear to ear.
Yeah.
Like,
It is
super
very like gregarious nature.
Yeah.
Mischievous. Yeah.
Love it. Okay. Fun. Yeah. I feel like you're such a beautiful soul and you're helping so many people. So I feel like I want to just say from God, thank you.
Thank you so much. I received that. It means a lot. Thank you.
Do you want to let people on here, let them know how they can come hang out with you to join this beautiful Meg party?
Yeah. So you can find me on Instagram. I will say that I am really honoring my intuitive knowing to pull back a little on social media right now, not because anything's wrong, but because that is just what my body is telling me, just be a little more present in this world than in the social media world. So I'm on there. Just not as much as I used to be, but still come say hi to me. Please send me a message. Let me know that you heard this conversation and I would love to just, have a conversation with you. You can find me on my website, megsylvester.com. And under work with me, you'll see retreats and live events. And you can find out about all of my current offerings. And depending on when you're listening to this, I always have a Miracle Way training going on. So, if you're interested in really kind of amplifying your gifts or taking the leap off that precipice when it comes to your spiritual business, please come join me. It's such a beautiful, beautiful week that we spend together. And then I've got, retreats all over the world and a lot of, like moon circles, breath work, stuff like that happening in Austin. So yeah, there's the website and Instagram. Those are the two main spaces. I do have a podcast. I haven't recorded any new episodes in a while, but it's called Manifest Miracles. So if you would just want to hear some conversations over there, you can check those out as well.
I love that you take breaks from things because I do that as well. And it's so like, my team will be like, well, are you going to do another podcast? And I'll be like, no.
No. Yeah. I'm putting that down for now and like not apologizing for it.
No. And when I pick it back up, I'm full in. So
yeah. And that's something I've really enjoyed doing is like putting things down and not apologizing, not making a big story, not explaining why, or, just like, move, like, no, it's not in alignment right now. And so I'm going to put it down.
Beautiful.
And that's good. Yeah.
Well, we will put all your information in the show notes. Meg, it was such a joy to have you on. Thank you so much.
Likewise. Thank you.
Nice to meet you too.
All right. Bye.
Bye, love.
You'll never worry or fear. Her love is special when she is near. The pain relieves the ties to